Hi, I'm L'Oreal Red. Welcome to Inspired by Pinterest, where I browse around Pinterest looking for amazing pins and ideas from crafters from all around the world to share with you on each episode. This week, we are going to be looking at how to gold leaf or silver leaf or copper leaf. I was super excited. This is something I've seen at the craft store forever and have always wanted to try. I've done a little bit of it in paper crafting. The awesome Vicky Boutin taught it at a class I took once, and I love the effect on textured paper, so I thought I've got to try this for home decor and different things. So I went and picked up my supplies at my local craft store and got busy, but first of all I had to turn to Pinterest for how to do it. So the first pin I found that I thought was super helpful was found at sweetcharlie.blogspot.com. She's a local gal here, and she did a great tutorial on how to gold leaf an old, or not gold leaf, silver leaf, an old gold mirror she had. She wanted to change up the color to fit her decor, and she walks you through step by step on this pin on how to do it. And then the next one is actually from my friend Desi from the 36avenue.com. She did these really awesome gold foil earrings. However, she cheated a little. She didn't actually use the foiling technique. She just used a gold foil finish. And so it still gives you that same really cool look that gold foiling does, with a little bit less texture, but I still thought the earrings were a clever idea and easily could be done with actual gold foiling. The next pin I thought rocked, and I actually tried to steal a friend of mine's skull. It's an animal head or a cattle, I'm not sure what kind of animal it is, but this is from signedbytina.com. She doesn't actually show a tutorial, but she did a beautiful job foiling this skull head with silver foil. And I was over at a friend Jenny's house, and she has this awesome, I'm not even sure, antelope on her mantle, and I thought, it needs some foil, but she was worried her husband would be mad. So maybe one weekend when he's out of town, we'll start foiling some of her animals. The next one I loved was a canvas, and they show you how to just buy some inexpensive textured paper that you can then gold foil on and then frame, and I thought this was really cute. It was from belovedindeed.com. And then the last one, she actually creates a really fun, it looks like a handwritten word, and then gold foiled it and framed it, and this is from the shabbycreekcottage.com. So again, be sure to go over to my blog at allreddesign.net to get any of the links of the pins I referenced. So let's get busy and talk a little bit about what I created. Now, first of all, to do gold foiling, you're going to need to purchase the adhesive. You can buy a spray adhesive or a small bottle just like this. You're going to need the foil, color choice. They come in gold, silver, and copper. Now, I made the mistake of assuming that because this had all three colors, that when I purchased this package, it would have all three colors. It does not. Be sure to look on the back label to see what color you're getting inside. I got 25 sheets of just copper. So then I went to the store and purchased my silver and my gold. So the packaging was a little confusing, but it goes a long way. 25 sheets will let you do a lot of projects. And then you're going to need a couple of brushes. A foam brush will work, or I used a small, just makeup type brush, art brush. And then the last thing you're going to need is what they call a sealer to keep that gold from flaking off your project. Super simple to do. So here I've started a frame, and I've got this great, I picked it up at a thrift shop. I've foiled this section of it already, and I've left this undone so I can show you. Now you can also purchase some really cool things called rub and buff in silver and gold, and I'll talk about those here in a minute. But I've actually buffed here to kind of show you what the look is, and then I've buffed over the raised part to kind of give it that dull look to it, so kind of give it some contrast. But super simple. We're just going to take our adhesive. Now this has kind of a consistency, I like to stir a little bit, has the consistency of like milk. We're going to take our brush and just go over the section that you want to do. And this takes, you want it to go dry enough that it goes tacky. You don't want it to be wet. They say it takes about 20 minutes to go tacky, but remember, I'm an impatient crafter, so I didn't actually wait 20 minutes. So I'm going to show you a few things while that's getting to the point that we want it. Make sure you get down in all those grooves and along the side. We'll set that aside. Be sure to put the lid on this. I almost knocked it over, and the last thing I need is adhesive everywhere. So while that's drying a little bit, I'll talk about the projects that I created. These were just simple little cups. Came in a set of 4 for $1 at my local dollar store. I taped off the bottom section with some washi tape that I had laying around, and then I painted that adhesive right along the edges and then added the different types of foiling. I thought that was really cute. They'd be darling to stick your jewelry in. or just as a little accent piece in maybe your craft room. And then here's like my project that I was super excited about. I love making these candy jars where you just purchase an inexpensive jar, add the candlestick to it, paint the lid and the candlestick to match. And I've shown that on a previous episode before on how I do that. But I loved how the gold foiling just gave it that really awesome texture along the top. And then I actually E6000 this really beautiful knob I picked up at half price at my local craft store. And then E6000 the base together. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm not even sure what kind of candy to put in it, but I love the way that turned out. And then in a previous episode, I talked about plastic magnetic letters that you can pick up, and I gold foiled the top of those letters. Once the foil's on, you just want to be sure to seal those so that it doesn't flake off. Now for you paper crafters, this is what really caught my eye. I wanted to try doing some paper craft projects. So these are my little composition books that I've cut in half. Just take them to your local print store and they'll cut them to whatever size you want. And then I just applied the adhesive and put the awesome copper foiling right over top. I just need to embellish it or add an initial. Got a really awesome gift. Now I haven't sealed this. I wasn't sure how it would take. I probably will seal it with just some spray-on sealer that's more lightweight. Now, foiling is really hip, and I've seen it a lot in home decor. So I took an old black frame, and I thought it'd be cool to give it kind of a texture look, but not all over the frame. And I've seen this in some of my pins and my pin board have a lot of really creative ways of how people are incorporating this into home decor. So be sure to check out my pin board on gold foiling, silver foiling, and copper foiling. So now that that's sat, we want to make sure it's a little tacky. It's not quite there yet. So let's talk about the buff. Ooh, this is fun. Now, brass is coming back. Brass is not my favorite thing. In fact, the first thing I did when we moved into our house is I ripped out the brass chandelier that was above my front door. Now I wish I'd kept it because you can take this awesome rub and buff over top of that really shiny brass and give it kind of that really Grecian gold kind of look. And they have different types of gold. Be sure to check these out. You can do a lot of really fun things. Now, I did a Father's Day episode and I didn't talk about this, but this is an etched mug I got at the dollar store and I etched in Dad in the mustache. But I really wanted the etching to pop out. So you just take some of this rub and buff. Now you can put this over parts of your project to kind of tone down sections of it if you want when you're doing the foiling, but it also works great by itself. So I'm just going to buff over top of that to kind of give it that shiny silver look. And then just keep rubbing it in, and that etching picks that buff up really, really well. And you're just going to want to keep working that in until you pick that all up. Now a trick for the stray part that ends up on the glass that maybe you have a hard time getting off. Oh, and if you didn't notice, I'm using coffee filters. Still one of my favorites to have around. I have them all over my craft room. They don't leave lint. They don't break apart on my projects when I'm doing something like this. Now, if you have some stubborn buff that you can't get off your project, just take some Windex wipes or a little Windex and one of your coffee filters and wipe it off. Now, isn't that awesome how that all of a sudden just pops and has kind of a silver sheen to it? Or we've got the gold on this side. I'd probably go over and do another coat of gold. But I really thought that was a fun way to do that. So be sure to put the lids on. I do this all the time and then I can't find the lids later on. So I've added the lids. So let's go back to this really awesome foiling. Now the gold foil and the silver and the copper all comes in a package like this. And now in between each of these is a little layer of foil. Now they actually say, let's see, the back of it indicates, on this one, how much genuine gold leaf. There's 23 karat gold leaf in the gold. The silver has actual silver. Copper, 86% copper, which I thought was pretty cool to know that. So you're just going to go in and tell. Now these are super delicate. You'll notice that peeled right off with my finger. That's another thing I noticed. If your fingers are sticky, the foiling sticks to your fingers. So make sure your hands are clean. So I'm just going to, just for sake of example, we're just going to set that right over there. Now you don't want to rub it with your fingers. The reason being is, again, if your fingers are sticky, it tends to pick up. I found that it works much better either with a foam brush to kind of push into that area, or even just another brush. I thought these brushes worked really good for that exact purpose. And I like to just push it down really gently, kind of rub. Now mine's still a little wet, so I probably should let it dry a little longer, but for sake of the magic of craft television, and as you start to brush at that, you peel away that excess. Now don't throw that away. That comes in handy if you have an area that didn't quite get covered. You can keep going over the sticky areas until you get a really good coating. And you can actually buy gold leaf flecks if you want that more textured look than the full sheet look. Now I was addicted to this. All of a sudden I'm looking all over for what I could foil. And you can just peel that away. Anything you want to save, just go ahead and put back in the package. Kind of between there, just save it. If you can get it off your fingers. See, again, don't get the glue on your hands. It becomes a problem. But you can see, and then as that dries a little bit more, we're just going to keep brushing away. Now, if you like glitter all over your office, you're going to love this because it goes everywhere. As you start to brush that away, you're going to have little flecks of, I had silver and copper and gold everywhere. It's better than glitter because it sticks to everything. So you can see the difference, and now you can tell a little bit on this one. See, I'm even sticking to the parts of the project where it's a little buffed out, so it's a little less shiny, and then you've got the really shiny part. So I'd probably finish that off so I was more consistent on the frame. This frame, all I did was buff over it with the silver buff, and it brought out that really cool texture, and you can still see the cream come through it. I haven't finished this side because I wanted to show you the difference. So that's all you need to do a little gold, copper, and silver foiling. So I hope this inspired you and you'll give it a try. I'd love to see what you create with it. Be sure to post your projects on my Craft Channel's Facebook page. And I'm always watching and commenting, so thanks for joining us.